But then I suppose, there are people online that will buy other people's socks and pants, and then they'll give them a good old sniff.
How do you think I bought the Cortina? Hi, and welcome back to Rivet Counters, the podcast that's not called The Backseat Driver, as I called it last week. And today's episode, we're going to talk about what makes a petrolhead a petrolhead.
That's a very valid question.
So, I'm Jim. This is James.
Hello, guys.
We're going to start with Clarkson's question or point of a petrolhead is a person who's owned an Alfa Romeo. And I disagree with it.
I've never owned one, but I class myself as a petrolhead. Yeah, very much so.
I've never owned an Alfa Romeo. The closest I've come is going on road trips in them. So
I've never sat in one.
You've never sat in one? Okay.
No, I don't believe I have. There's a few that I would aspire to own.
Yep.
I would love an early Julian. Is it little? The little 2-door coupe from the lights?
Yeah, the GT. I would say GTV, but it's not
a GTV.
Yeah, I know. I always get the name mixed up. That and a Spider. Yeah,
no roof.
Mm-hmm.
No, not for me.
Really?
That Julia thing.
There's not many convertibles I'll go for, but that is one of them.
SL55 or an SL500 or SL350.
I have driven,
or a 129 model before.
Yeah, I have,
with the removable hardtop.
I've driven one of those. I can't remember the chassis number. The Mercedes from the 80s that was called Ethel, and rolling around in a 5.0 like Ice Cube. No, Vanilla Ice. Sorry. Because I was given the keys and like, would you want to give it a try? Do you want to take Ethel out? And I'm like, why have you called it?
Oh, that's what the owner called it.
Yeah, it's like,
I thought it was one of those bloody Ford. What's it called? Things.
The Edsel. I told you about that in confidence.
I was enjoying that beautiful, cold, speckled hen beer last night, and then all of a sudden we started talking about fucking. Are we allowed to swear?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Fucking Thunderbirds, Ghostbuster, Ford things.
Sorry, for a bit of context.
Put up a picture.
We were talking about cars that we wouldn't mind that we'd seen. Because you're always looking for, I think being a petrolhead, you're always looking at cars, or whether it's cars that you want to buy, cars that you would aspire to buy, or me in particular, when I look at a car, I'm thinking, what would I do to that? Particularly old stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And a Ford Edsel Estate turned up, and I didn't even know they made these. And I showed you thinking, I really like this because V8, big estate, and I was like, a couple of surfboards on it, that's all it needs. I wouldn't change a thing about it. And then you were very mean. Oh
no, it's got to be in tune to be copyright. All I could see, insert picture, is I like the badging on it. I like the fact that he's gone, this is my name, I'm going to put it on the bonnet. Not the Ford badge. I'm going to have my name on the bonnet. I would probably do the same if I was building a car. But it is what it is. I mean, have you put in a cheeky bid yet?
No, because it's way out of... Because if he accepts it, I still won't be able to afford it.
When they accept the 14th lowball offer and you jump in the car and get there as quick as you can.
Oh, shit.
But I think part of being a petrolhead is keeping your eye in the market. I mean...
Yeah, you've got to.
I speak to certain friends and they go... Oh, I have thought about TVR Chimeras. And I go, yeah, I've been following them for 2 years. Post-COVID, they went from $5,000 to 15. Now they've pulled back to 11. They're all bunched up at 11. Someone's going to be brave and jump in at 9,995. They won't sell. It'll be for sale for 2 months. They'll cascade down to 9.5, maybe 9,250. Then they'll get a bidding, and they'll get a viewing, and then they'll end up selling at 8,250, maybe 8.5. And then all of a sudden, the floodgates open. They're not a 10 grand car anymore. But everyone that's selling them and owns them thinks, well, they're going to go back to 15 before you know it. No, they're fucking not.
I'm surprised.
They're not.
I'm surprised America hasn't had a bigger influence on that. Because...
Oh, is this a 25-year-old?
The 25-year-old.
I think that's a bit... Does that ever really happen?
Yes.
If it's a car that they want, and they want to buy them from our country, then yes. But if we've got a group of cars, a particular make and model, that are just coming up to 25 years old, and all the Americans go, don't fucking want those, then they're not going to buy them. So it's not going to drag the value up if none of the Americans want to buy them, surely.
Good
It's
point.
only got to be something that they're crazy about.
Yeah, I mean, because Fast and Furious has driven that with the Skylines. Now they're over 25 years old. They've skyrocketed, same as early Imprezas. Because
R34, it's a big money, aren't they?
Yeah.
But I believe that's because they're quite low number cars. I don't know if it is in general or in the UK. But I spoke to a good friend of mine, and he said that's due to low numbers, the rarity due to numbers.
Again,
yeah.
I mean, I'm a big car fan. I'm always talking about it, and much to my wife's disapproval, is that Japanese cars are one of those things. I like them. There's quite a few that I like. I appreciate more. I'm appreciating them more and more, but I've never owned one. I think actually it's because spending time talking to you.
Thank you very much. I am an influencer.
You have influenced, because when you always talk, you've talked to me a lot about rotaries, and I
talk to a lot of people about rotaries. Yeah. They are amazing things.
I think I would like to have a play with one.
I think you'll be surprised. I mean, I cannot speak from first-hand experience, but from the people that you talk to, I think you'll be surprised at how easy and straightforward it is. I'm not downplaying what people do that build them for a living. There's an art to everything. There's an art to putting a boiler together. Don't get me wrong. Everyone can, but not everyone can in a certain way. We can all chuck an engine together, but whether it will last and whether we can port the way that the other people port, and the assembly and all the measurements and all the cutting and all the bits and bobs, there's a lot to it. I'm not downplaying their skill levels at all. But would you rather reassemble an engine with hundreds of components or an engine with very minimal components? There's still going to be measuring, tolerancing, clearances, torquing, cleaning, a bit of lubricant.
The processes are still there.
Yes.
Which actually brings, you've raised a good point, is that you and I have done restoration stuff.
To a certain extent, yes.
But I don't know whether being a petrolhead means that you know how to weld, you know how to do all this stuff. I mean, I think there's got to be an element of you're willing to work on your car mechanically, even if it's just changing the plugs, changing the oil. See, some people don't buy old wrecks like I do.
Well, but then we touched on this last episode, didn't we? There are people that will buy resto mods because they are petrolheads or petrolheads, depending on your view, and they will just drop a big bucket load of cash down on the car that they want because they're into cars, but they haven't got the facilities, time, or the ability to build them. So they would class themselves as petrolheads. And
no, it's a good point.
They're buying something fettled, finished, and refined that probably will never need an ounce of maintenance outside of a service at the specialist every year or a couple of years.
Yeah, it's the whole built versus bought thing, which I always find a bit weird, because you find people who say built not bought, and then you realise what they're talking about is they've been out and they bought a kit and they're bolting it to the car themselves. They've not worked out how to make the engine mounts. They've not made their own exhaust. They've not made this. They've bought the bits, but they're fitting it. So their assumption is that because they've done it themselves, it's a greater level of one-upmanship on somebody who's paid for somebody to have it done. But then there's another guy who's actually like, hang on a minute, I cut all the bits, I made my own engine mounts, I made this, I made that, who's then looking down on them. It's some weird cascade.
It's like a hierarchy thing. I think.
Oh yeah, completely.
The guys that have gone, I went and got some new hubcaps every day, and I learned how to press them onto my old wheels, will feel better than the person that doesn't know how to inflate their tires.
Yeah.
But then the person that gone, well, I've just designed my own cam profile and had it ground based on my 3D scan measurements, based on lift duration period and intake runner length and exhaust manifold lengths and all that sort of stuff, will look down on the guy that's just screwing some arches on, but he'll feel that he's achieved so much more than the guy that don't know how to pump his tires up.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a weird one.
It's a weird one, and I
think as long as you get out of it what you want to get out of it, I think
that's it,
and it makes you happy. But only do it if you're happy. If it makes you happy, at the moment, as you know, I'm halfway through a Honda CRX. I've got to that It's not even mid-restoration. It's not restoration. I don't know. I'm halfway through it ish, and I've run out of steam. And I've gone, do you know what? I can't be fucked with that. So I'm going to move on and do something else. So I'm halfway through that glass cabinet, and then I got to the end of that, and I was like, oh, the Mini needs a bit of work. So I'm halfway through that.
Yeah.
You know, it's the most frustrating thing in the world from an outsider to go, finish your fucking projects, finish them all. And to my mind, I'm going, well, I'll go back to that. When I enjoy it, and when the timing is right to crack on and do that, and that, I'll just go backwards through it when I want to.
No, of course. And I think that, again, it's another valid point, is that we're sat in here. I mean, the Cortina's got no... In front, there should be front seats where our legs are, and beyond that, there should be dials and there should be a bit more wiring.
And a full injection system on the engine.
Working on it.
You're getting there.
Working on it.
But at least there's a Mazda gearbox.
Exactly.
See, look, that's influence right there, you see?
Yeah.
Mazda gearbox.
I'm so excited to try that.
It's a Japanese car. This is like a hybrid between Japan and England.
I know, and I still agonise, before I get back to that, I still agonise, should I have gone with the Mazda engine as well? All the time.
The rotary engine?
No, the MX-5 engine. 1.6, 16 valve. Build it as a poor man's Lotus.
Why the 1.6? Is it regarded as better than the 1.8? Because the NA had two engines, didn't it?
Yeah. No, it's nothing to do with one engine being better than the other. I think, from what I understand, it's physically shorter.
Like me.
Sorry, mate. It's physically shorter, so at least I won't have any bonnet clearance issues.
Power bulge.
It's already got one.
Power.
Have you not checked? Have you not been checking out my bulge?
No, not on camera.
It's very, very full on. Quite a long one. But the reason the 1.6 is that the Lotus twin cam 1.6, 105 horsepower when it left factory. The Mazda is 110, I believe.
Cool, fair enough.
Is that it would be almost the same as a Lotus without having to buy a Lotus twin cam.
Oh, you mean the Lotus Cortina thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it would be. So the reason I hadn't done it was because the sump is rear bowl, whereas I need a front bowl.
Is that because of your steering?
Yeah.
The steering rack, yeah.
Yeah, so the steering is in the way.
Yeah.
And it would mean a lot of cutting and welding of aluminium if I was going to keep the original sump.
What, an alley sump on a MX-5?
Yeah.
I thought it'd just be a pressed
No, it's
steel.
cast aluminium, because it actually...
I never knew that.
It's quite clever how they've done it, is that the sump rear mating face actually is the lower part of the gearbox. So the sump and the gearbox and the block are all bolted together.
Oh, didn't realise that.
Which is good for, like structurally, it's good. I mean, probably a real pain if you've got a rear main seal leak, but part of that, the sump bowl is at the back, and it's a lot of aluminium cutting. And even though I've bought a TIG welder, I haven't done aluminium welding yet, and it's certainly not enough to make a sump that doesn't leak.
Yeah. 100%.
But that was mainly it, and I still keep an eye out for a front subframe, a spare one,
for
cutting the engine mounts off if I was to do it. So I'd always have my original one, and then have one that I'd cut the mounts off, weld new mounts to it to mount the... Because I think lengthwise, it doesn't make any difference. And the exhaust is on the right side, same as what it is now.
Yeah.
I haven't got to worry about the steering box because it's on the opposite side, because the exhaust comes off on the left.
Yeah.
Throttle bodies would be on the right. I could use the throttle bodies I've already got. Again, it will look... You could make it... It wouldn't look like a Lotus twin cam, but you could make it the same cam cover look the same, and
you could,
elements that from 10 feet away, you think, oh, he's got a twin cam in that. You get up close and actually he's got an MX-5 engine.
Technically, you do have a twin cam in there.
Yeah,
because it has two camshafts.
True.
It's a twin cam engine.
Yeah, I still have those thoughts mainly when I'm looking at my current block, an engine, and thinking, I'm not sure if this is all going to work, because I do second guess myself a lot.
That's fair. All part of the process.
Yeah, but then I don't know. I think on paper it would work. I just don't know how well I can make it work.
Same with the 4AGE. I have a Mark 1 MR2. I believe to make that run outside of the car, you need ECU, power supply, and key. and that is it, I believe. And that way you retain injection system, dizzy, everything in that aspect of it, and all the sensors in the loop. And I believe you can take that, and then you can take a gearbox out of a early Celica. I think it's called a TA5. Is it
T50?
There you go. T50.
Yeah. If you can find one, they've all been smashed up. Those things.
A bit pricey, aren't they? But then obviously that would bolt straight up to the engine, and then it'd be turnkey ECU reliability. Job done, isn't it?
Yeah,
job done. Nice little 5-speed box.
Yeah.
Job done.
I mean, the hard part is I've already got the MX-5 gearbox in it.
So it's literally the engine would just go straight on.
Yeah.
Piece of piss. Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Easiest swap in the world. Get on with it.
I don't know.
Let them decide in the comments section.
In fact, here's a point. What do you think in the comments? Let us know, because it'll probably make me second guess myself, and it'd be quite amusing.
Nice bit of confusion and doubt there.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's leave that.
Someone will say put a motorbike engine in it.
Or put the 4-speed back in. What you're doing, you absolute idiot. Yeah.
Fuck them. Put a Renesis in it. No, not a Renesis, because it wouldn't run with the old canvas thingy bobby, would it? Put a peripheral ported 12A in it on a Weber.
We spent way too much time this morning looking at rotaries.
We did indeed. That'd go nice. Plenty of space underneath for a little bit of silencing, because a peripheral ported 12A will be fucking loud.
Oh yeah,
very loud. I want to get that engine running on a stand. I got an old a bit of box section at home.
So I think you need to explain this a bit more, actually, because this is really interesting. As in, like, the engine itself.
I'm not going to explain the whole process behind it, because it's been going on for years. However, I don't like to talk about things on the internet that don't happen, because I'm very good at talking about things and then they don't happen and I look like a hypocrite. But luckily, I don't mind looking like a hypocrite, Jim, because I'm used to it. Very used to it. And I'm not afraid of it.
That's a great bit of self-awareness, though.
Oh, I'm aware I look a complete idiot. I did a video back a couple of years ago in January when the garages had no roofs. And the video was, what's coming next in January? And I went, oh, we've got no roofs, and we could do this and we could do that. And I said, I'm going to put a roof on one garage, then I'm going to finish that car, and then this year we'll restore the Mark 1 MX-5, and we're going to do this and that. Guess what I did of that? Fucking none of it. None of it.
What do you mean?
I didn't put a roof on that garage. I put a roof on that one, a roof on that one. The MX-5 never got touched and it got sold. We canned that project, cut it off at the knees, done. The Cosmo's now on its way out the door. Probably shouldn't have said that. It might not go. But things change, they evolve. Life changes. Everything changes. Mainly my motivation for certain things changes. Why do something you're not passionate about? You don't enjoy? Fuck that, it's your time off.
It's the same with that Mercedes W123 I had.
Yes, the Jimmobile.
Yeah, Dirty Jim.
There you go.
And I bought that for... I might as well talk about it now. So it's been gone long enough that
don't make yourself look like a hypocrite, though.
No, seriously. What I got a text message from a friend saying, I know of a Mercedes for sale. Are you interested?
Insert picture.
And it's like 250 quid. What do you think? I was like, so my wife and I were watching the F1. Mercedes were doing particularly well that day. And I was like, you know what? I've had a beer. I'm going to buy a Mercedes.
It's a sign.
Looked at it. The number plate had Jim in it. I was like, so that's a sign. And it was too good to pass up, even though it wasn't a car that I'm motivated by.
Sometimes an opportunity can be so good that you make exceptions, and you can almost convince yourself into it, but you need to strike while the iron's hot, because when you wake up the next morning, you'll realise it's a really stupid idea, but you've got to stick to it.
And again, the Cortina was on the road and working. I was like, oh, actually, I've got a bit more free time now. So let's get on with it. So bought it, picked it up, got it back here, and it was filthy, like totally algal, part green. It should have been white. Cleaned it, did a couple of videos like, I'm going to probably fix it up. The engine was seized because it had the spark plugs out for about 6 years and it had been parked outside. And annoyingly, the day I managed to free the engine, I didn't have the camera on it because I kept putting diesel in the spark plug holes, giving it a rock, nothing. All right, okay, I'll come back. Every time I did it, give it a rock, nothing. And the day it went with this massive bang, and then the engine was, you could turn it by hand. It was tough, but you could turn it, and it got slowly better and better. It was like, I don't have my camera out, and you can't refilm that.
No, you can't do it.
I was devastated. And then, like I say, we cleaned it up, and the paint underneath, the Mercedes paint, I will give them that, it was bang on.
What, like the body, paint on the body?
Yeah, it was original paint, but it polished up reasonably well, considering it had been, nearly 40 years old and all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Now I paid $250 for that car, and I was offered $1,250 without touching it, having to worry about the welding that needed doing, the engine or anything else. And because I wasn't that motivated, all I'd done is literally clean it. So I will they knew it had been a transferred plate, so got the original plate put back on. So like, you can keep the plate, the gym plate, and I'll give you $1,250. You'll make £1,000 without doing anything. I couldn't turn it down. Yeah, there you go.
Cheers,
off you go.
Buddy. Thanks for making my life easier.
I don't know whether that car ever got restored or not.
Let me check for you.
I can't remember the plate. I cannot remember. Yeah, that's how motivated I was by it. I can't remember what the plate changed to.
Scary, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Have you got a thing for plates? Can you remember all your plates over the years? Does that make you a petrolhead if you can remember your number plates?
Yeah, one of my favourites was I had a Mark 8 Fiesta, brand new, Fiesta ST, brand new, which was a stopgap whilst I was finishing off the Cortina. I was like, I want something, because I think that's it. When this was been in bits for so long, I wanted something interesting, so I got into Fiesta STs, which I know you love. No,
sorry.
Fake it till you make it, isn't it?
Yes, I like Fords.
Because
I don't like Fords or Vauxhalls.
I don't know if you're the same.
No, I'm not.
Oh, cheers,
really
mate.
not.
Thanks. It's made me feel better about myself.
I'm sat in a Ford now. I'm being forced. He's chained me to this Ford.
You've driven this. And you were like, oh, please, can I have a go in it?
Don't tell them.
And you said, I don't mind it for a Ford. I'm like, I will break you.
It's because it's old and it smells and it's got character. Anything that's got
that's
old.
what my wife says about me.
There you go. Anything that's old and smelly and noisy and characterful, you can make a bit of a pass for. It's all good. It's all good.
It does have, to be fair, the one thing I always wanted to keep with this car was the smell. Very 60s smell. I remember, before I get back onto the number plate thing, one of the last shows I did, because I don't do shows that often anymore, but when I originally had the car on the road, went to a show not far from here, and I was walking back to get some sandwiches out of the back of the car in the boot. Hot day, left the windows cracked.
Toast then, not sandwiches.
Yeah. And so what's going off with my car? There's a guy bent over.
No, he wasn't.
With his literally past the shoulders in the car. I'm like thinking, is this somebody trying to take my car? Walk over and he's literally sniffing it.
So he's getting his fix.
He was getting a proper lungful of car. I came over and I was like, you all right there? He practically cracked his head on. I'm surprised he didn't snap his neck the way he whipped out. And he went, no, sorry, I was just having a sniff. I love the smell of old cars. I'm like, okay. Like, I don't know what the appropriate response is with this, but I suppose I get why he was doing it. It's just weird that he was doing it
to your car. But then I suppose, there are people online that will buy other people's socks and pants and then they'll give them a good old sniff.
How do you think I bought the Cortina?
There you go. But there are people that will do that sort of, you and I will go, that's a little bit strange, mate. But then they'll think we're a bit strange because we sit in a car and go,
it does.
Oh, nice.
It evokes an emotion.
I agree, yeah, definitely. I mean, what makes a petrolhead? I don't believe, I know, that there are certain cars that have certain distinct smells.
Yep.
Mark III MX-5s, I've sat in 2, and they both smelled the same. That's not a coincidence.
Okay.
That's not a coincidence. Audi A8s, I've owned and sat in a multitude of them. They all smell the same.
Jaguars, as we were talking earlier.
There you go. The old XJ smell. And Mazda RX-8s. They all smell of premix. Well, they should smell of premix, but they all smell the same.
My Mark II Golf GTI had a particular smell, and then
the Mini's got just an old school old car scent to it. There's no like, you know, if I sat in it blindfolded, I wouldn't go, oh, it's our Mini. I would just go, oh, it's an old car, that smells nice.
And it's funny you say that, because conversely, growing up, we had older cars, and my uncle had a Mark III Escort, so early front wheel drive.
Is that Ford?
Yeah, a Ford.
Sorry about that.
I know that I can still remember how that car smells. Obviously, it's hard to describe how a car smells.
What year would that have been?
Oh, that was 80s, early 80s.
My parents had an Escort when we were growing up.
Oh, nice.
I spent time in a Ford when I was a child. It's an ex-police car.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I think it still had like the... Not to still obviously have the fucking...
It had the lights.
Yeah, the lights a lot.
Still had the red stripe on it.
It had, I think it had... You could see where it had the radio in centre console or dashboard or something. There was like evidence that it was an ex-police car. Small world. Indeed. But yes, what makes a Petrolhead?
I definitely think, I think
there's different aspects to it, isn't there? Like,
yeah, I think as well. No, I've just sort of touched on it. Is that they create an emotion?
I would say so. Yeah. I mean,
the reason I bought the Cortina, and I've owned it 20 years this year.
That's a long time for a car.
Yeah,
a long time.
Is that from the very first time I got in it, when I was driven in it I didn't test drive it. I was driven in it. So I didn't know how it drove till I owned it.
I didn't realise that.
But the moment I got in it, I was smiling. And every time I've been out in the Cortina, even now when I've come in and I look at it, it's so stupid. It brings a smile to my face. And I think because it makes me smile, and it's been such a big part of my life, is that it makes me happy, and I don't want to it would have to be mega money for me to get rid of it.
Really?
Yeah, because it just always makes me smile. And how many things in life can you genuinely say make me smile? It's the same reason why I asked Sam to marry me. You know, she made me smile, she made me feel good.
But then for how much money to get rid of her?
Well, I did call her the other woman, because I'd had the Cortina longer than I've been with her, and yeah, that nearly cost me one house.
Everything advertised, everything else. But then it's interesting, you'll put like a lot on the fact that, you know, you wouldn't sell it for any money. But I class myself as Petrolhead too. However, if you turn around to me tomorrow and said, there's market value for your Mini, your CRX, your XYZ, I'd be like, yeah, take it. Okay. I mean, like the Austin Healey, me and Dad spent 5 years restoring that together. Father and son project, incredible to document on the internet.
I remember watching it. That's how we got talking.
There you go, 100%. Very, very special project. We'll never forget. Thousands of photos of it.
Yeah.
However, we both got to the end and we were like, right, time to sell.
I understand that, and I did genuinely think I'd have that with this. And a few people have said, you know, what's the next project? And what I didn't expect when I got in here, the first time I drove it, which was emotional, after all that time, was that I felt content. Like, I genuinely feel like I lost all interest in having another car. It was just like, I just enjoy being in here. It's such a...
Yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? If you're getting something out of it
from day one, I always had that emotional connection, and it's like the only I say I wouldn't sell it. The only thing I would be, there's only one car that I would be, if it could get me straight into one, then that'd be it, job done. And that is a Morgan.
Morgan.
I have lusted after Morgan since I was 7.
What sort of money are they?
Like, for one I'd want, which would be, I'd say the ones I'd want would be when they went to more modern engines like the Z-Tech and the Duratec.
Because they still make them, don't they?
Yeah, they still make them.
In the same way.
And I think that's why I wanted the classic look but a more modern engine. So it would be, I don't want a cross-flow one, because it'd be too much like this, but with no roof.
Yeah.
You know, I want one that if I'm because I'll be using it less frequently, is I want it to fire up and I want it to look old, but I don't want it to feel old. Necessarily, not as old, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's still going to feel like a Morgan. It's still going to feel agricultural in a way, but it's got a bit more power. It's, it keeps up with stuff. But yeah, I think one of those would be like 30-ish.
Doesn't seem too bad.
No, it's not.
Ash frame?
Rigid, yes, but there's a bit more steel than aluminium involved these days.
Do you know why they used ash?
No.
Nor do I. I genuinely don't have a clue, to be fair.
I have a feeling it's to do with it being hardwood.
Maybe.
But
certainly don't go rusty.
If anybody knows, let us know, because,
I'd like to know.
One thing I did find out with Morgans, because I've been a passenger in one, and that did not help. Normally you hear, don't meet your heroes.
Yes.
Didn't have that with Morgan. It was a passenger ride thing at the NEC. And you could pay to go. Yeah, the Dream Rides.
Yeah, right over in the corner, the smelly corner. There's the corner where Dad says, "Leave me here for a little bit, and you go and get your lunch." But that's the thing, it's the smell. They love the smell. We all do.
I have joined. I would do it in this, but it's never running right when the NEC runs around at the moment. One day you could be a passenger in this car, and then you understand how truly terrible it is.
But you're not allowed to drive it unless your name is
James.
Because
I worked out a couple of days ago, since I've owned this, anybody who's driven this car has got the name James, and that is 4 people, including myself.
In 20 years.
In 20 years.
There's not many cars in the world that have only been driven by a James. All 4 Jameses have been Jameses, different people, in a 20-year period.
I know.
It's got to be the only one in the world.
I know. It's so bizarre.
What a selling point.
Such a weird statistic to think of your own car.
What would you do with this if it was like money no object underneath the bonnet? If you had all the access to all the kit in the world, and I said, right, go on, put in a so-and-so.
Part of me wants to go all out on on the original engine.
What, make like an ultra highly strung?
So like full steel bottom end, forged pistons, downdraft head, decent exhaust, throttle bodies, or supercharge. Or the other one would be to supercharge it. That's one thing I've always wanted to do to this.
I love superchargers.
Throw some boost because I think with boost, the supercharger putting in about 10 psi would be an absolute beast of a thing.
This is what annoys me. Not enough production supercharged cars that are now less than $1,000, because that's all I want to spend.
Yeah.
If you want a supercharged car and you want to put your foot down and hear that over the top of the V8 rumble, you need to go XJR.
So it's Jaguar, isn't it, really?
Or Range Rover, which I would not do.
No.
Or Series 2 Exige, and they're not $1,000. Never have been, never will be.
Have you ever driven one, the supercharged one?
Test drove what did they do? They did a naturally aspirated 190. Then they did a 210, a 220, a 240, and a 260. I test drove a dark grey 240 or 260 supercharged Series 2 Exige. It was fucking amazing.
Oh, I can imagine.
The sound of the supercharger.
It's right there.
It was so fast.
That side, yeah.
Oh, mate, it was amazing. It was brilliant. And I would absolutely, hands down, love one. Series 2, even Series 2 Elise has aged beautifully. Series 1, I'm not overly fussed on the styling, but in a Norfolk mustard yellow early colour.
I kind of like them.
Love it. But then at the same time, Series 1 Exige is a better looking car than a Series 2 Exige.
Yeah.
But then a Series 3 Elise in the flesh is a gorgeous.
Yeah.
Oh, no, they do Series 3 Exige is a lovely car. And you get the sound of the V6, and you get supercharger, and you get reliability, and you get, But at the same time, they're floating around about $40,000, and they have been for a very long time.
Yeah.
Where are they going to go from here? I think they will. I think
because
they got to pull back a little bit, maybe.
The way cars are going,
same as the Aurora.
They're getting heavier and more complex, and they are, which is the same reason why I like driving this, is that it's almost like a detox. It's not a heavy car, it doesn't have a lot of power, but it doesn't need it because it's interesting, it's engaging to drive, it's quick with what it uses what it's got.
Spanish gearbox.
Spanish.
Manuel.
Oh, it's like, but that's Japanese.
Manual gearbox.
And it hasn't got bells and whistles because you don't need them to get down the road safely. It's got manual winders.
Say no more.
It's got lights, and that, you know, do you need a radio? Probably not.
You need a blower to demist your windows if you get a spot of rain.
That's true,
because that shit steams up so quick.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. You can
that is the only thing.
You can have that
modern HVAC from something modern. A decent blower to blow your screen, and maybe a bit of aircon to like dry that air out, so you actually get a drier screen. But then you can get around that with a bit of Fogex, can't you?
Yeah.
But even the Fogex isn't that good.
No.
I've been very unimpressed when I treated that Mazda 3 before I come to see you last time, and I did put it on cold night in the dark at dew point, and it smeared a lot. And I think I put it on about a couple of inches thick. I put it on very,
not
very
a great
thick,
start, and I
couldn't see anything. And the Rain-X on the windscreen didn't work. If you're doing 70 miles an hour, great.
You're second guessing yourself.
You need the wipers on.
Yeah, of course.
Not ideal. Far from ideal. But the internal stuff, that's not too bad. But you still need a bit of airflow to keep it clear, don't you?
So going back to what makes a petrolhead, what do you think makes a petrolhead's car?
It's personal to the person. I think it's chalk and cheese. I mean, I love small sports cars, and then I love massive Luxo barges.
I'm with you on that.
I'm not tied to one particular type of car,
which actually I think, in a way, is the better answer, because I suppose, to use a different analogy, it's like people who say, I love music but I only listen to rock. Other I think you have to have an appreciation of music to say you're a proper music fan.
I think that probably comes down to personality type.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's probably a contentious point, but I'm with you on the whole, going back to what you said, is that Luxo barge, sports car, I have had form of going from hot hatch, which I've really enjoyed, and I'm tired of feeling like I'm falling down the stairs every time I get in this car, to I'm going to get a Luxo barge, and I'm bored of this. Why do I have to really brake to go around a corner? Why does it feel like I'm cornering on the door handles? I need something that goes around a corner. And I go through this eternal loop of...
Yeah, I think I like the two equally, which is why I go from Luxo barge, scratch the itch. And whilst I'm scratching that itch, the itch of the sports car-y thing comes back, which is why over the years I've gone Audi A8 to Lotus Elise to Rolls-Royce Silver Spirit 3 to Mazda RX-8. And now I'm in the car that I got given, which is neither here nor there, but there's a reason for that. Next, I have options of either your Jaguar XJ Sport or my good friend's Audi A8L that's been sat in a car park for 2 years on the bump stops with no battery. That's a scary prospect, but it's a cheap way in to a Luxo barge.
No, you're right. Yeah.
And after that, I'll probably want to go small and sporty again. So it will be like, but I would say there's no car that ticks every single box.
Oh, of course not.
Why, when another good friend of mine was looking for a vehicle, he had a decent budget, to be fair, more budget than I've ever had to spend on a vehicle. And he said, I want something sporty, but I want all-out power, and I want this, and I want that. And we couldn't find a car that ticked every single box.
At some point you do need to say, right, it won't do this, but it does everything else fantastically.
That's why he went Continental GT Super Sports.
Oof.
You know my mate's got one of those.
I did not.
It's currently for sale. If anybody wants a black on black 2010, low mileage, full history, once for nothing, Continental Super Sports in black, with black wheels. It's up for good money, actually. Not good money as in high, as in like the right money, because that's a shitload of car for the money. It's a lot less than what you paid for it a couple of years ago. To be fair, the market's a bit soft.
Sorry, I was trying to work out how much I can club together. Probably not.
I think it's up for sale for 34.
That's a lot of car.
160 grand in 2010.
Yeah. Wow.
But ballistic fast.
Yeah.
Uber comfortable, and being a super sports, by no means nimble, but you can chuck it around a bit. Yeah. And if he would have gone, he was touring at that sort of cash with like Series 3X each. Great for the weekends, incredible car, but you get out of it and go, oh, my back.
You could feel the brush strokes on the paint on the road, can't you?
Yeah, exactly. And he's a single guy. He's actively dating. And when you go and pick up a lady in like the Lotus Exige,
she's having to crawl in and crawl out of it.
Yeah, like she's got no teeth left by the time you get to wherever you're taking her for food or drink. Like, that ain't no good.
I bet when you say I've got a Bentley, it's not much of a challenge either.
This is another valid point. A good friend of mine, Mr. Gammon, always used to say, buy a vehicle that you don't have to explain the make and model. Because if you just go, what car do you drive? Bentley. Sold. What car do you drive? Nissan GTR Stage 3 Litchfield.
You said the same thing last week.
I think I probably did. Yes. It's a it's stuck in my mind. Yeah. It's stuck with me. It's very true, I find.
Yeah, I remember when I was talking to Sam, she's like, what car do you have? I'm like, at the time I had a Golf. I was like, oh, I've got a Cortina. Didn't know. I was like, oh, obviously not. I mean, I did lie to her. I showed her a picture of when I first had it, when it looked great, not the picture of what it looked like at the time when it's got no wheels, the engine's like, the engine was 2 miles away, the gearbox is somewhere else, it was half rust, half red oxide. And she said, what have you done to it? Like genuinely disappointed.
This is what you could have won.
Yeah. Like, get ready, because this is going to be your life now. She didn't realise that at the time.
It has been her life, to be fair. Ever since you've known her, you've had this vehicle.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. But I think every petrolhead, if they are in a relationship, needs a supporting partner. Because I have not, every time I buy a different car and just bring a different car home, my wife will go, oh, that's nice. What is it? Or, not really for me.
Yeah.
There's no like, oh, you've bought another car, have you? Because that's not healthy.
No, it's not.
This isn't a podcast about relationships, but I do think it goes a long way.
You want to feel validated by your choice.
Yeah, I mean, like, give me your opinion. That's fine. It was my decision to buy it, and I'll stick with it until I'm bored of it, and then we'll move on and get something else. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a very broad term. What makes a petrolhead? There is a range of petrolheadism. Is that a car show that's on at the moment? Petrolheadism. Yes, lots of influencers and celebrities.
Not us.
Well, we've got from the podcast today. Could have made it anyway, mate.
To be fair,
busy.
Cortina cylinder had 6 feet away from the rest of it, so no dice fan.
We wouldn't have taken this. We could have taken the Jag. Now that it's fixed.
That's true. It is fixed. It would get there. It would cost the small country's GDP, but you know. But it'd have been comfy.
Very comfy, and it would have smelled like an XJ. Beautiful. Very, very nice.
Yeah.
Definitely. Have we answered our question?
I don't know. I think we've actually made it worse. I think that
that's good.
We've pushed it along the road. I think it's a hard one, because I think it's all about you've got to embrace the cars.
Do you have to embrace the culture? No, but I think it's important for certain people. We were saying this the other day. Small community car shows are great to get older people out of their house, to meet up with like-minded people, to get out the chair and have a little chat.
Yeah.
And you've got all these like modern lifestyle fucking car shows, and it's all like, modern, and it's not for me. Yeah. I'm not into it. But at the same time, every car has a place. I'm a member of a Max Power Reloaded Facebook group at the moment.
I've genuinely found the Max Power reunion thing interesting.
I'm the same, and I don't like that stuff normally.
I was totally against it.
I've got so much time for it.
I was totally against it when it was happening because I wasn't a fan of the music. Because you got to admit, that whole Max Power generation of cars, it was a lifestyle. You were in it for the music, for the clothes. You know, I did go to a couple of meets.
Lack of clothes, wasn't it?
What?
They were all naked all the time, weren't they? I was never involved. I'm a lot younger than you, Jim. I wasn't born. But yeah, I mean, like I say, the whole Facebook group. You know, I respect the build. You know, they say respect everyone's build. 100%. There's a lot of time and effort that's gone into that. It's like aspect, that build.
The snakeskin wrapped Saxo VTR. That people were trying stuff in the same way they would. If you look at like lowriders in the 70s when they were going like full fur and the paint schemes, and it's genuinely interesting.
100%.
And you know, there was an air of ingenuity. It wasn't necessarily something I was interested in, but looking back at them, particularly when I worked at Halfords, used to see them all the time, is that it was at the time I didn't, it wasn't for me, so I was more interested in the older stuff, which I still am, obviously. But now I'm seeing these cars being resurrected and pulled out, and like seeing what people did and how they did it. It's genuinely interesting. I'm quite enjoying it.
Cerbera popped up, didn't it, a while back? Was it gold Cerbera?
It's now in America.
There you go. There you go, Max Power. But I kind of, maybe it's because I'm the age now that other people was when they were playing around with them back in the day.
Yeah.
And it's an age thing. I don't know, but I look at it and I go, that's kind of cool. And I wanted to go to the show, Max Power, and I thought I'll speak to a few of my older friends in their late 30s, early 40s. I'm not fucking going there.
Oh, you should have told me.
And I'm like, what? Well, I did think it'd be your thing. I thought no one was going to be interested in that. And the people that I did think would be interested laughed at it.
I'd have genuinely gone out of curiosity.
We'll go next year.
Yeah, that's done.
Deal. Anyone else wants to come? You can
let us
come with us.
Because it's for what he said there. There's definitely a generational thing, because every now and then I will look at Saxos. I was never fussed by them.
I go on a VTR.
Yeah, my
happy days.
The one I'd really like, because my dad had a bit of a midlife crisis after my sister had moved out because she'd gone off to uni, and I was just getting ready to leave, and I didn't need, he didn't have to drive us around or anything, and he went from a Citroen Espace to a Zara VTS. As in the 2-door, not the smaller one, rather the one with the that was almost Megane-like.
Okay,
it was the earlier one. And that thing ripped.
Really?
That thing was quick. And I was like, that's quite a thing. Because firstly, you're not sat like 6 feet in the air. You're right on your arse on that thing. And he couldn't get on with it because it was such a contrast. My mum had it and she absolutely loved it to the point.
Really?
Yeah, she loved it a bit too much. When you look at the points on the license. But you cannot find those anymore. I still look out for them because I would love to give one a...
I think tastes change as you get older and mature.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't used to like a Calibra. Now, I love the look of it.
I saw one the other day on somebody's drive. I'm like, oh, that's a thing. That's a proper thing.
Ultra low coefficient of drag. One of the lowest at the time. A tiny little grille on the front. And the bloody Peugeot 40... coupe.
Oh, the 406.
Is it 406?
Yeah, the V6.
406 coupe with the V6.
The Brembos.
Pininfarina or Britonia or something like that. I look at those now and I think, that's a Peugeot, but I like it. Really do. I think they're really cool. But back in the day, I would have gone,
because I remember when I was looking for a classic car. I mean, I already owned a Triumph before I bought the Cortina, which is a whole story in itself.
Net curtains, isn't it? That was in our little video that we done many years ago.
That's right. The one that my dad won in an auction on the radio. That is genuine.
Interestingly, if you want to learn a little bit more about that,
yes,
click in the pop-out banner at the top of the video. Link to that,
yeah.
Link to that video, because that was an interesting one.
So I thought I'm not a good-looking chap. I'll buy an interesting car. Girls will want to talk to me. Turns out you buy Mark 1 Cortina. Yeah, you buy Mark 1 Cortina, and all you talk to is old dudes.
But then at the same time, if you're into old dudes, you make them like yours. And on that note, we'll see you next month.
Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye.